when I grew up in the 90s and, getting into film in like the late 90s, early 2000s, there was this saying that was born, I think, from like either Francis Ford Coppola or George Lucas, where they're like, one day the technology will be there for like someone in their backyard to do it all themselves. And yeah, this digital revolution has allowed that, but like, the amount of people creating
But not everybody's
said,
Francis Ford Coppola.
it's like bottom of the barrel content. And I think it's something like the data is saying like 80 years worth of video gets uploaded to YouTube per day.
It's Johnny Late Night! And now here's your host, Johnny Rogers!
Welcome back to episode number 57 of the Johnny Rogers Show. My guest today was born and raised in Niagara Falls, Ontario. He realized his passion for filmmaking at a young age. After years of learning in his own backyard, his storytelling journey brought him a variety of filmmaking jobs throughout Canada and New Zealand. For the past 3 years, though, he has been directing short documentaries and narrative short films for the media company Goalcast, where his work has garnered hundreds of millions of views around the world, and where he has worked with such talent as Larry King, Jordan Peterson, Chris Gardner from The Pursuit of Happiness, UFC champion Frank Shamrock, and Miss Universe Deshauna Barber. His international experience also includes co-managing Wi-Fi, a non-for-profit film initiative based in Wellington, New Zealand, directing national TV spots for V energy drinks, and co-producing the upcoming feature film Unforgivable, set for release in 2024. His award-winning short films have screened in festivals across Canada, the United States, New Zealand, and Italy. He has also previously won the Show Canada Showmanship Prize for the Blockbuster Category in 2002 for his nationwide promotion and marketing of The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring. Currently, he has finished work on A Promise of Light, a high-concept, visually ambitious 30-minute fantasy film that is now being submitted to film festivals. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for my friend and yours, Timothy Moran. I'm always impressed by people who are like those courtroom, not reporters, but the people who like keep like a log of everything that's being said.
Yeah, I don't get it.
And then they can just read it back as soon as they're asked. You're like, damn.
It's like their brain is literally doing two things at once. It's listening and like it's typing. I don't know. Those are the people who are like, are unsung heroes.
Oh, 100%. 100%. And they would fall probably under the same categories like auctioneers. You're like, I don't understand how this skill works, but it does. We just want people who can speak very fast to get the numbers. It's such an interesting job where it's like that. Same with radio. You have to like have that voice, like this is KFMA in the morning. Like it's there's a certain type of person who can do these jobs.
We take them for granted. We really do. And speaking of the auctioneers, like I thought that was just like, I don't know, something from like the 1920s. It ended up being like something we kind of put in movies and TV. Until I was at a large farmer's market, St. Jacobs in Ontario years ago. And one of the Amish farmers was there, and they weren't auctioning off anything, but they were calling out what they had for sale, listing like all their produce. And this guy was literally like talking as fast as one of an auctioneer like would be doing, except like he was just listing, like, was like, we got corn, we got it was insane. And it was just going down. And not only was he listing what they had, he was listing what the price was. And there was no like he wasn't reading off a teleprompter. He didn't have any notes. He was just like, it was crazy. And I was like, this is a real thing.
I wonder if that's just repetition. I wonder if that's just like he's done that so many times that it's just in his brain now. He can just rattle off that list.
Yeah, maybe. Like also you could be like one of these Rain Man style geniuses, and that's what these type of people are. They're just like they're a savant, and they can hear and type and like stop on a dime and read back like 5 pages worth of notes in a courtroom. They're phenomenal.
Kudos to those people and their phenomenal Rain Man skills. But Tim, I want to because this show is always about putting a spotlight on my guest. I'm always like trying to get people on the show, to people I respect, people I want to learn more about as well, because we just started working together with Paradigm. Mm-hmm. How did you fall into like becoming a director?
Wow. Okay. If we want to go like back, like it was kind of a fall in. And like it was like the weirdest thing. Like it did happen in high school, and like it wasn't one of these, Spielbergian kids where they get an 8mm thing when they're like 4 and they start making movies. It was like I had no idea what I wanted to do. And I got to be in grade 10 and they were like, all right, here's your project. We're going to figure out what you want to do. And, we had these boxes of index cards. So we're going back a little bit.
Yeah.
These boxes of index cards where they had like career templates on them. And I was flipping through and I came across film producer. And I'm like, oh, that'd be cool. Because I always loved movies. I always there was something that really kind of drew me into the magic from a young age. And like they had such an impression on me that when I watched one, it's like, that's what I wanted to be. Like when I watched Beetlejuice, I didn't know what it was, but I wanted to be a Beetlejuice when I grew up.
Mm-hmm.
When I watched Jurassic Park, I was like, all right, I'm going to be a paleontologist. That kind of thing.
I know what you're saying. Yeah.
Right. So I see this card. I'm like, oh, film producer. Cool. Nah, that's impossible. So I flipped to the next one. I'm like, oh, bartender. I'll do my project on being a bartender. Then literally a couple months later, it's summer vacation. I just wake up in my bed. I was like 15 and like, I just sat up and it just sort of hit me like a ton of bricks. And I was like, oh, I'm going to make movies. That's what I'm going to do. And that's how I kind of started. I got myself a little camera and then, it was actually really cool. Like the high school I was at, they found out that I was making all these short films with my like cousins and friends on the weekends. And I had this awesome teacher. I'll always be grateful for him. His name was Rocco Maiolo. And he was like, why don't you just start doing your projects? He was an English teacher. And he's like, why don't you just start handing in your projects as videos? And then if there's anything else that, I want to do, because he was like, also had all this AV equipment at the school. And he's like, if there's something that I could figure out, like I can use your skills for, we'll do that. And eventually that turned into my final year of high school. That's all I was doing. I was like the Phantom of the Opera up in the top floor of the school in the AV room. And like, I'd be doing full projects. Like I would come up with an idea, I would pitch it to him, I'd write the script. And then like in each semester, I'd have a half an hour short film that I'd do on top of all the video assignments that he handed me. And then after high school, it's kind of off and running, I did like a little bit of college, but I had so much education from high school. I was bored to tears.
You can only take so many years of that, eh?
Yeah. And it's like, the hard part is I've come so far, even through the process of like pitching and being there from pre to post, like just me and then my teacher. And then I get to college and this big class. And I remember day one, they're like, this is a camera. And I was like, oh God, what am I doing here? So I got through the first year and then like I was making short films and putting them into festivals. And then I just started doing corporate work, like corporate videos, wedding videos for a while, eventually moving into like doing commercials, and then finding myself is sort of like a raconteur, writing for hire, directing for hire, editing for hire, even like doing some cinematography for hire for years. So that's sort of like a bit of my journey. Yeah.
That's an interesting thing as well. Like I'm always a big advocate of, you can like expand upon your skills, but still be within the same field, like your ability to shoot a wedding and your ability to shoot a drama, you would think that they're two separate things, but like if you had have just been like, no, all I'm going to do is only do this one thing, you wouldn't have built up the skills in this other area that would inevitably help like over on the other side. Have you found anything that you've learned maybe in an opportunity that was like surprising to you that like carried over into a more passion type project?
Yeah, I mean, well, that's a good example because like, the wedding videography was very much like, at the time, like now it's something else. Like I see the kind of things that people put out now and it's like, well, it's like full on short film production. But at the time,
some of these short, they're like short films of people's weddings, like over the day. You're like, damn, you guys got a drone in here. And like,
yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. I've got friends who that's their business and they do same day and they're shooting drones and like, they put it together so it's a short film that they show at the end of the day, and they're like,
That's wild.
It's insane. And I'm like, back in the day, it was almost like you're shooting a documentary. Like it's like you got your one camera on the speeches, and then like you're going around getting like all the reactions, and that did sort of help. Like that sort of like that philosophy of like you're capturing, it's very candid, did help in a short film that I did several years back. And it was like we had very little money to do it, and I always go big for some reason. I don't know why. It's just like I can't help it. Even when I say I'm going to scale back, I go big. And I sort of pitched this idea to my producer friend who works with me on like a lot of my projects. His name's Steve. He's a mad genius. And every time I pitch him something, I just see him, like I see the fear in his eyes. And like he came to me with this one. We're like, okay, we don't have a lot of budget. And I'm like, okay, so you want to do like a period ghost story? I'm like, that's great. I'm really inspired by this ghost story that I heard that happened in the War of 1812, which, if people don't know, is Canada and America. We were fighting. We were at war, and it was this oldest recorded ghost story in Canada. And like he's like, okay, cool. It's gonna be simple. It's gonna be at night in the woods. Soldiers, 2 soldiers, 1 ghost. I'm like, yes, but let's open it with a massive battle. And
700 reenactment actors.
Yeah, legit.
No,
really, it ended up being like, we had probably, there was this one sequence where we had probably a couple hundred, and then like we did a smaller sequence with about 50, and I can't even begin to get into the synchronicities of how it happened.
Where did you guys shoot this?
We shot it in Fort Erie, Ontario, at one of the old standing forts that are still in existence from that time.
Wow.
And they're like, hey, listen, buddy, we're all here in our own costumes. We've got our own weapons. We're firing our own like blanks. We're going to battle, but we're only going to do this once. So like having this experience of sort of like being a documentary sort of perspective from like, wedding videos, from other things, allowed me to kind of come up with a game plan where I was almost dropping our teams into certain parts of like the battle and following platoons throughout the whole thing. We just captured that whole sequence like it was a documentary.
Wow.
And it was, you're spot on when you say like, even the things that may not be what you're passionate about, like there's learnings there that you can sort of like, roll into this greater, piece of you that you can apply to your passions.
I think as long as it's, like I said, in the same kind of realm, you're working with the same tool, which is your camera, like you all of a sudden deciding to get like, oh, I'm going to pick up like 20 bartending jobs and that's going to help me with my filming. Maybe in terms of stories, you're going to hear some like you would really have to dig, is my point, to find the lesson. You could find a lesson in anything you do, but like if it's at least, beside what you actually want to do, you're going to get a lot more out of the experience.
Yeah, 100%. And, hey, like, who knows, maybe the person who wrote Cocktail, had spent years bartending and like, what, I got a great idea. But I think that is the sort of like the journey sometimes, is sort of just getting into this idea of, as long as I'm on a similar road to where I really want to go, I'll be able to kind of build up my foundation a lot stronger, so that when I do have opportunities, I can really jump on them and make the most of them.
I love that too, when people have those like sleeper skills, I like to call them. Like somebody just, have you ever been to a party and there's somebody that you've known for years and there's a piano and all of a sudden they sit down and start playing? You're like, you never told me you play piano. And like, oh yeah, when I was 7, my parents put me. You're like, what the fuck? Like, but that's only happens if you're like trying different things, or you're testing different areas around what you're already interested in, maybe. I love people like that.
That's like, it's so funny that you mentioned that, because that happened to me like a couple of years ago. This friend of like the family I've known for a while, several years, and he's like, hey, come over to our house, we're having a party, and like show up and there's like a piano there and he's just jamming away. And then he's like, yeah, I also got a cello upstairs. I'm like, what? Like, where did this come from? How come you didn't tell me this before? It's crazy.
Oh my God. Just a cello just hanging out upstairs.
Yeah. But it's
pretty random
interesting
to walk across.
It is. And like, you know, once we sort of talked about that, now like he kind of always, every time he writes a song or like does a cover or something, he'll just send it our way.
Wow.
It's just like, oh, cool. You know, I also find it's interesting that like sometimes people they're not very open about those skills. There's like, to me, I'm like, if I could play like you, man, I would be really on top of that. But I don't know. There's like a vulnerability, I guess, in kind of exposing like all these hidden talents that we have.
Yeah, I don't know. There's so much of that. Like people just, not even with like hidden talents, but just a lack of vulnerability. I guess you see enough people get trolled online. You're like, I don't want that to be me. Like America's Funniest Home Videos prevented most people from doing stupid things because they saw everybody that made it onto the show and they're like, I do not want to be that. That's what I don't want to be. So everybody like kind of holds who they really are like deep in. I'm like, just let it out.
Yeah, I think that's what Jackass was about. It was like, listen, guys, let's you're all afraid to be on home videos, making an ass of yourself. Let's turn the tables on this.
And they had strange skills like let me see if we can see a fart and we'll light fire behind you as you fart out like gas.
Oh man, I couldn't watch a lot of that stuff, but I saw a clip from like the newest one that came out, I think this year. Did you see that? Like
I saw like preview clips. I do think it's kind of funny that it's like the old, because they're like all older now too, so they're kind of like passing the torch. It's just so funny to me. Like they're passing the torch of what? Like hurting yourself for entertainment? I don't understand.
I know. There's this one scene where like this guy's like he's duct tape or something to a chair, or maybe just strapped in, and like they're pouring honey all over him.
Oh
they let this bear in. They let this bear come in, and I'm like, oh man, like I can't even imagine. Like that's a fear of mine. Like I think bears are cool, but I think I'd probably like freak right out in that circumstance.
One of the ones that I was like, nope, was when they were just like jumping into open water with like a shark, and they were like, there was one sketch where they did that, and they just jumped in next to a shark. I was like, hell no.
No. I don't care how much money you're throwing at me.
I don't give a shit. I've seen so many of those scary ass, and like it was on a bucket list of mine to like go down in one of those cages. But I saw a video recently that I was like, there's no way in hell I'll ever do that. The shark actually like got into the cage, and you just see like red come up, just a huge pool of red just come up, and then the shark ends up coming up out of the top of the cage where the diver goes down in. So they're like, where's the diver? Like this shark is like coming now up out of the cage. Like it made its way through and then went over the other side. The diver like made it out with like a huge like gash basically on the side of their arm. But I was like, that could have been a whole lot worse.
Wow. That was Richard Dreyfuss in Jaws. You remember that scene where like Jaws comes in, busts the cage, and then like, Richard Dreyfuss escapes, but like
that movie, you want to talk about like impact of a film, like it made people terrified of open water. And people would actually, because I know they used a lot of the citizens who actually live in that area in the movie. And there's that old lady who just like kind of slaps them. Do you remember that?
Yeah. Her son
people
got
would
eaten.
Go there. People would drive to this town just to have this lady slap them because they knew that she lived there.
No.
Like huge fans. I remember reading a story with that, and I was like, man, that's one of those things where you don't intend on your like film or whatever doing that, but then it just has all these repercussions that you never expected.
Which it's cool. Like to me,
it is. It's like a ripple effect.
And it's the power of storytelling. Like it really is amazing to see how affects people to such a degree that they'll travel to a place to get slapped by an old lady. It's amazing, and it's a beautiful thing because like that's what I think we are as humans. We're storytellers, right? Like it's the oldest art form. You know, we pass along lessons, we inspire others to go and do great things. We, you know, in the fairy tale world, we scare people into not doing things. But it's really amazing, you know. And I found, you know, I lived in New Zealand for a while, and I've you know, some good friends there, and like that whole country was changed from the Lord of the Rings and the tourism that brought, so that people could go and see the places that they filmed. And, you know, that changed a country, like a whole country, and how they make money, and, you know, putting it on the world map. Really, it's
you hear horror stories about that kind of stuff, though, where can't remember where it was. There was like some town where they were being prepped, basically, like there's going to be a massive movie project that's going to come in here, and it's going to bring it. They were like renting out all these different like areas throughout the town for filming, and they were getting hotel spaces, and they were telling like city council, like, prepare yourself, because it's going to be like a boom of tourism. And I think that even the city started like prematurely like building stuff out for this kind of like infrastructure, and then the last second funding got pulled and the film project never happened, and they just were like, sorry, the deal's off. And they were all like, what do we do with all this shit that we just built? Like, oh. I was like, fuck.
It sounds like something that would happen on The Simpsons. You know?
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's a monorail project.
That's awesome.
God damn. How long did you live in New Zealand for?
I was there a few times. Like, you know, if we lumped it all together, it'd be like over 2 years time. But like, I was down there once for 4 months, then I went back for almost a year, then went back and did another 4 months. And, you know, it's really like, it's a gorgeous place, man. Like, if you ever get a chance, like, you got to go. It's just lovely people.
Every time I hear New Zealand, I think of this. Do you know who Lewis Black is?
Yeah.
He has this great joke about, he's like, do you know how long the flight is to New Zealand? He's like, it's like 23 hours. It's like something insane, right? Like, how isn't it like something crazy long like that?
Yeah, it can be long. Like, you're looking at 23 to maybe 27 based on layovers. It's long.
He's like, any piece of land that you land on after 23 hours in coach is going to be beautiful. He's like, you could put it on an iceberg with two penguins blowing each other, and I'd be like, I'm so happy to be here.
Thank God I'm here.
Yeah, thank God I've landed. He goes, instead of seats, they should just give everybody poles, and you could just beat the shit out of each other for the whole flight. Or you could sit on it and spin. Like, it just has such a... I just know, like, I always love listening to bits and trying to, like, put myself, like, where were they when they thought of this or, like, came up with this idea. And, you know, he was just, like, losing his mind on a flight to New Zealand, just being, like, writing this down furiously, like... Fuck this.
Oh man, like, I get it. Like, it's long, but I gotta say, like, I'm not one of those people who can complain, because I am, for some reason, blessed with the ability to fall asleep almost instantly on a plane, and I'm pretty much sleep the whole flight. Like, there are times where, because I did a lot of back and forth, you know, coming back and seeing people, that kind of thing, while I was there. I just wake up for my transfers, go back to bed on the plane.
I love that.
I don't know. It's just
I'm an easy sleeper too. I don't have any problems doing that. Like, I can lay my head back and say to my girlfriend, like, I'm going to sleep now, and she's like, and I'm out like 2 seconds later.
Yo, isn't it great? It's like,
it's great.
It's a blessing. It's like such a skill. Like,
truly, that and my vision are two things that I'm like so thankful for, because there's people I'm like, you have to pay to see. Like, there's people who have to pay like $250 a month just to see.
Yeah, it's
they gotta
not
get $400 glasses. Like, it's crazy. People look at Canada and they're like, free healthcare, everything. Not entirely.
No. Yeah, that's a big misrepresentation of what's really going on there, for sure.
We just slap free in front of anything, and nobody looks at the details.
Yeah,
like, it's free.
If you break your arm. You know?
Yeah. That's about it.
Yeah, I don't know how many times you've broken your arm, but you know.
One time. I was lucky. I've only broken my arm one time on a trampoline, the world's most dangerous toy.
Oh man,
as
they're the best and the worst at the same time.
The best and the worst. Like, you could So fun until it's not. Like I remember my cousin, like he was like trying to do a backflip. He was really trying to get this down, and he's standing like closer and closer to the edge of the trampoline to get like a full range of motion, because the trampoline's only so big, right? If he did it in the middle, he'd flip off the backside. So he gets to the one side, but then I don't know if it was like a brain fart moment. Instead of like just flipping backwards, he bounced and jumped forwards. So he just jumped off the trampoline basically. And but he's still in the bent position, like he's trying to go backwards. So he just lands on the rail on his back and just face plants. I was like, oh God.
Yeah, no. They can be deadly.
Yeah, man. I want to talk about, because we were talking about this before. I don't think it was actually included when I hit record, but we were talking about you're the director of Paradigm Studios, and we want to put some attention on one of the short films. One in particular, I want to ask you where this idea came from, or what you're working with here. So most of the films have life lessons, and it's like very story driven. There's a lot of revenge, or there's karma, or like justice being served, and a lot of times. But this time we've added a paranormal element to the video. I think I can do share sound here. So for watching at home, if you look up Paradigm Studios, you'll see Rich Girl Bullies Poor Boy. But at the end, we've got this mysterious light. And then what was the thought in like, let's go here. Let's add this in, or at least try it.
Oh, wow. Okay. There's a lot there. And like a lot of it comes from this idea of like there's a lot going on in the world that we don't talk about. And I'm not saying like, hey, aliens are out there and existing, but like opening up the doorway to kind of like explore other topics that aren't so prevalent in our day-to-day. And it really stemmed from a conversation I had with our showrunner, Cotter. We both were kind of like, we found out that we were interested in this man who's been documenting missing person cases all around, mainly in America, some in Canada, Dave Pilates. And he's got like so many interesting theories on like why people go missing in national parks, and like, why it's not talked about in the mainstream. And there's some really bizarre cases where like someone goes missing in one place, but their body is found like an impossible distance away. Wow. In a time that would say from when they went missing to how they got here, it makes very little sense. It is some really bizarre things. So we were just like generally having conversations about that. And at the same time, our audience that we've sort of built with Paradigm Studios have really been, they've been given like one style of video for so long. And, there's only so long, at least in my opinion, like that you can eat a certain dish before you want a different flavor.
Yeah, that's a good way to put
it. So we were, we were batting around this idea of trying something genre, and we kind of settled. And I'm not saying like, this whole Dave Pilates thing is where we went, because there is like a deeper kind of story that we have talked about and are building with this particular idea of people going missing in the town of Riverside. That is the focus of Paradigm Studios. And we threw it out there. We tested it just to kind of, at the end of a video, it wasn't like the focus of the video. We brought it in at the very end just to kind of see, are people interested in genre? And we did get some surprising responses. And it's really interesting because now we've been sort of laying some Easter eggs into a lot of our recent videos, and coming up very soon, there might be a return to this topic. And, the unfortunate thing in the kind of like business that we're in, as it takes a while for our videos to kind of get out. It's not like something that we shoot all in one block and then edit and release a full story like periodically through the week. We're constantly in production, we're constantly in pre-production, and we're constantly in post-production. So a lot of our videos kind of end up going a little bit off topic, before we kind of circle back around to something we may have addressed a month ago, 2 months ago. But we're coming back to this. We haven't forgotten, and it is going to end up being a little bit more of a prevalent theme in the coming 2 months, I would say. So it's going to be interesting to see how people respond to that.
Well, so far I saw in the video, it's one of the most replayed parts of the video, which shout out to YouTube for highlighting that, because that's always helpful when you're looking at analytics.
Oh yeah,
but,
thanks YouTube.
I mean, I love the like time and dedication that goes into each film, because I worked the complete opposite. People who are fans of me on this and on Inform Overload, when I worked for that company, it was like 4 or 5 videos a day of something that was happening that day. And like some videos were good, but some were not good because they're rushed. Like I found just rushing everything and always trying to like stay on top of what's trending just becomes like creatively exhausting. You're taking like way less risks because you're only doing like what other people are exactly doing and trying to like piggyback on trends. Really, like it just doesn't feel like you have that ability to take creative freedoms like that. Like, hey, let's write in an alien abduction into our script because we feel like it, because we want to add this in and try it and see, and it works, like there's a beauty to that, like freedom with creativity, which is what I love so far, is like, hey, if you think it's a good idea, try it, test it, see if it works.
Yeah, it is cool. It like to kind of have that arena open for us to enter. It is great because, in my personal opinion, I feel like once you start putting limitations on things, not only is your creativity stifled, but like what is the audience going to do? Like, I feel our modern audiences have been a little, I don't know, they've been geared towards shorter content. Like, I don't know if it's like a purposeful sort of push, more videos, shorter, keep watching. But if just in kind of like going through the comments of our videos, and I know we recently did a poll about like the length of content, and I really feel and people are wanting longer, well-told stories compared to bite-sized snippets of a reel, like, stay tuned, this kid has the funniest laugh, keep watching.
Some reels, like, it just you can just tell that like creatively as humans, we are scraping the bottom of the barrel, most of us, when it comes to like ideas for things. Like there's just I saw some TikTok that I was dying at, and it was like how like Gen Z like treats their phones for videos, and it was probably like an older phone, obviously something that didn't work, but he was like taping it to different things and like throwing it in the air and like whipping it in the ground, like pretending he's filming and then throwing it. And it's true. It's like I feel like there's people now where they've seen so much of the same thing that they're like, well, let me try this. Well, let me try this. Well, let me try that. And you can only do so many variations. There's only so many ways that you can like change the game,
100%. And like, it's so interesting because there was always that saying that like one day,
Second, to thank our newest Patreon subscriber, CLB. I appreciate your support, and because you are subscribed to the show for just $1 a month, you're getting this episode before anyone else. If you want to be cool like CLB, head to patreon.com/TheJohnnyRogers and join in on the fun. All right, now back to the episode.
When I grew up in the 90s and, getting into film in like the late 90s, early 2000s, there was this saying that was born, I think, from like either Francis Ford Coppola or George Lucas, where they're like, one day the technology will be there for like someone in their backyard to do it all themselves. And yeah, this digital revolution has allowed that, but like, the amount of people creating like,
but not everybody's like Francis Ford Coppola.
it's like bottom of the barrel content. And I think it's something like the data is saying like 80 years worth of video gets uploaded to YouTube per day. And it's like
crazy. I don't know where it's going. Where you think about the sheer, like, I couldn't imagine being the people who started YouTube. and then you like your platform starts to take off and more people are uploading it, and you're like, oh my God, we're running out of server space. Do we get more?
Yeah.
Like, what do we do? Like, sell it to Google. Like,
yeah, it's crazy. And I do have a theory that we're going to swing back the other way. Like, people are just going to be so overwhelmed. They're not going to like these little, it's not going to be satisfying, watching these little reels or little shorts anymore. Like, people are going to get fed up, and you're going to see a return to the theater. Like, you're going to see, like a perfect example is James Cameron. I mean, like, the guy's creating these 3-hour Avatar sequels. There's 4 of them that are coming out.
Wow. So he's franchising this. He's
franchising it. And it's like, wow, saying, hey, this is only going to be in theaters, and it's going to be 3 hours. And if you want to come see it, the biggest movie of all time, you're going to have to buy a ticket, get your butt in the seat. And there's something magical about that, because you're not distracted by the I guess the pull to flick up and see the next.
You have to physically get up and walk out of the theater. It's a much bigger statement. I've done it twice.
No.
I've paid for a movie, sat through a bit of it, and then was like, yeah, I've had about enough of that. And just gotten up and walked out of the theater.
Because I've done it twice too. Which ones you want to like?
Yeah, let's trade movie walkouts. This would be a fun question too. Have you ever walked out of a movie? I walked out of Inglourious Bastards.
Whoa.
I just was surprising. I was like, nope.
What part?
I think what it was I had watched the trailer, and I think I was mentally prepared for a different type of movie.
Gotcha.
And then what I was watching, it felt so slow, so dragged out. The part that I wanted to see, which was in the trailer, didn't even happen yet. I didn't even get to, and I think when I did get to that point in the movie and I saw what I saw from the trailer, which is why I was interested in the movie, I was like, okay, and that's it. Like, I just couldn't commit to it. I don't know what it was. And then also a kid too, I didn't really have like an understand, you know what I mean? Like, if it's not war and people fighting, it's like, turn it off. I just wanted to see like chaos, right? And I was watching all this dialogue that I didn't care about, right. Which now it's funny as an adult, I'd be like, wow, it's so interesting that he's saying that. Do you think that's because of his parent? I'd be like more in depth into it.
Man, that opening scene.
Oh, I need to go back and rewatch is what I need to do. It's the same thing. Like I always say, if you didn't like a food when you were like a kid or something, some people hold on to that. They're like, I hate green peppers. I've never had green peppers before. I'm like, you should try it again. Because like your palate like changes every year.
Oh yeah. 100%.
But the other movie was the first like return of Star Wars.
Oh yeah.
So not Force the original Awakens. 6, but like the one with the female lead.
Yeah, Force Awakens.
Is it Force Awakens? Yeah, I was like,
yeah, with Rey. Yeah, you're like, no,
I hate this. Like,
fair enough, man.
Fan service shit.
Yeah, all that.
It's so brutal.
Oh man, like, and I'm a Star Wars fan, but I just feel like those 3 didn't know what they were doing. It's like, they were riding this wave of, we're going back to the practical effects of like, you guys don't like the prequels, there's too digital, we'll do practical effects. But then like there was actually someone who broke it down. There's more digital effects work that were done in the J.J. Abrams sequels than there was in the prequels. And I mean, every single one just felt so confused. And and like I said, I'm a Star Wars fan. I'm pumped because Andor got released today, and I think that looks really good. But I totally agree. Those 3 were a mess. Yeah.
No problem.
Man. Okay. So for me, I'll do them unsequentially. So Pirates of the Caribbean, number 4. I'm just like,
number 4. I love how specific it is.
The first 3 were
First 3 great. 5 and 6 great.
Yeah, they were well done. And then like, I felt like everything was wrapped up, and then out comes 4. I'm like, all right, I like the first 3 so much, I'm going to give it a shot. Oh yeah, no, it's like 10 minutes in. I'm like, I've had enough. I've had enough. I just don't know why we're still doing this. It's a beautiful day. I'm going to go and hang out with my friends.
Yeah.
And then the other one, the first one that I ever walked out of was an Academy Award winner for Best Picture, Best Actor, and I believe Best Director. It was A Beautiful Mind, and I just couldn't get into it. I was in the theater, and I don't know why. I was just laughing because it just felt like, I don't know. I just couldn't take it seriously.
Yeah,
and I'm
that's
like,
the worst, when you can't like plug into, you can't like suspend disbelief. That's what a movie should be doing. Do you think like working in film makes it harder for you to suspend disbelief when it comes to watching projects?
It did for a while. But this is how I sort of gauge things now, is that if I'm able, if it blows me away to the point where my filmmaking brain turns off and I'm back to being an audience like I was when I was young, then I'm like, this is fantastic. If that doesn't happen, I can still kind of sit back and sort of like think, my brain starts working about how they did certain shots, judging the acting, that kind of thing. But really, if they can kind of get me to that point of like, I'm just so focused on the story, that's how I'm like, this is next level. And there's only been like a few, I think, in the past, I don't know, while that really kind of did that to me, where in the theater, I was just like, holy smokes, I'm just enraptured right now.
For me, that where that happened, because I can't watch anything usually. I've been so interested in like, similar to what you were saying before, where you were going through high school and you're kind of like, you watch Jurassic Park and you're like, I want to be a paleontologist. It was like me, so I kind of thought maybe what I want to be is an actor, because then I can get to be all of these different people without actually having to like, spend time in one career, because I never liked one thing, right? So that was the idea behind that. And I started doing like background acting and like trying to do short films whenever I could act in short films when I lived in Toronto. But even just doing background acting, where I was like really standing back and watching like the whole process unfold in front of me and like picking up on all the terms and watching how they set up scenes. Because as a background actor, you're just standing by. You're literally just getting paid to stand there. And so I was just trying to soak everything in. But every time I watch something now, I have to like call it out. Like my girlfriend was watching, what's it called? Love is Blind.
Oh my God.
It's like a reality show. Reality show.
I've seen, I've seen
I was like, babe, I'm sorry, these are all actors. So I was like, there's no way any of this is real. There's no fucking way. I'm telling you, there's no way. Like, I'm like, how? Okay, he's coming over to meet her parents for the first time. Why are there cameras in their house? Right. How are they getting the angle of them walking? It's, you know what I mean? You're like, this is all bullshit.
Oh yeah.
But if you've never been in, like, I don't think that you could arrive at that if you had never like seen what a movie set looks like. If you couldn't even like picture what a movie set looks like, I feel like you would just be like, yeah, this is happening. This is like a reality show that they're just camera. This is just how it is. But then you see like lighting, like you can tell that they're like lighting them in a certain way.
Yeah, it's once you kind of pull back the curtain and you see the wizard, you can never unsee the wizard.
Yeah.
And you'll always see one facet of that or another when you're watching something.
But Everything Everywhere All at Once, I was like, this is amazing. I don't know why. I just like was like, this is so crazy. Like, because I think it's because they're jumping from different realities throughout the whole thing, and you're following that storyline. And is it Jordan Peele's new film Nope?
Nope
was like, dude, what?
Nope. Like, I loved it. And I've yet to see Everywhere All at Once. I hear it's fantastic, and I saw a little kind of snippet about the dudes who made it, and they like pretty much did all the VFX themselves, which is just
crazy.
Mind-blowing.
That's crazy to know, because they're wild VFX in this. Wild VFX.
Yeah. which is it's bonkers. Like I really got to see that soon. But I really loved Nope. I thought Nope was like a throwback to that sort of Spielbergian 90s, late 80s feel, where it's like you're on an adventure. Your everyday life is now turned supernatural, and I'm just going to like get you feeling like you're part of it. And I think he really, really did a great job of that. I really liked his other movies, Jordan Peele. But this one, I was like, okay, I love this film.
Yeah. Especially like the way they're doing the aliens, where it's just like kind of lights behind clouds, or they're like, they are the cloud. I'm like, I love that. Like, they have a giant budget. Like, if they wanted to have a spaceship flying through the air right in front of them, they could have that in every scene. But instead, they're like, nope, the spaceship is that cloud. Just point it at that cloud and just shoot the cloud, and allow the audience to just believe that the spaceship is that cloud. It was genius.
So good. It was like what they did with Jaws. You don't actually see it until they're ready to show you it. And when they do, like, Nope was worth it to see on the big screen. And just
even the Avatar, it's like you got to see that like ultra AVX with the seat that moves. That's the place to see it, like 3D with the stuff coming at you.
I can't. And that's a hard thing too. Is like, I know, like, right now you and I create content that a lot of people will consume on their phone, and it's fine. It's like, that's what we shoot it for. That's, we're even though we're kind of pushing for, a bit more of cinema quality, and, we have some plans to kind of, up productions and maybe get more people watching on their computers, and then who knows from there. But it's a whole different experience when you're watching it on like a screen that's as tall as a house. Like, it is, like, again, it's immersive, and like you're trapped there. You have to be present and watch it. And I think that's something that we're missing a lot, even in our conversations these days.
What would be so cool is if you had almost and I think this will happen a lot in the future, but you have like YouTube watch parties. So like, but not, what am I trying to say? VR YouTube watch parties. So you would like put on your headset and you would go to like, not even a theater. It could be like an outdoor theater. It's all VR, right? Like you're just in a field if you want to, and there's a massive screen, or the movie's playing like in the sky. That's what it looks like to you. And you can look around and see everybody else there with you, like chatting about it or watching the movie as it's happening. But it's just like something streaming from YouTube. Like, I think you could take such a simple experience, throw it into VR, and make it like the most mind-blowing thing that anyone's ever. They're like, I was in the middle of the desert, like, you know what I mean, watching this new movie about like a Western or something. Like, imagine being able to like put yourself in the area of like where the movie is happening, and you're all kind of watching it together. Like,
there was last year, it was the 20th anniversary for Fellowship of the Ring, and they in New Zealand, in Hobbiton, like, which they kept that set. That's now a tourist attraction. Wow. They put up a big screen. People came and they watched Fellowship of the Ring in Hobbiton, which is super cool. Super cool.
Then we can give that access to everybody if it's VR, right?
Yeah, I can't do VR. I tried it a couple times, and for some reason it gives me insane vertigo. Like, insane. Like, and I'm not even talking like, the game where you see people kind of looking down, they're on the Empire State Building. I'm just like normal. You put it on and you're looking around and you take it off. I tried it twice and it messed me up for about a day each time. Like, I was not right. So
there is a weird thing that happens, right? Like, your brain, like your eyes communicate to your brain like what's happening in your environment so that you can like think and react. But once you're covered and you're viewing this space, you know that it's not real, but like your brain doesn't really know that. Like your eyes are just telling you, like, I'm looking at a fireplace right now. The fireplace isn't actually there, but it's communicating to the brain that you're looking at a fireplace. And then when you take them off and it's not there, it feels like you've like transported like to a different place. Like, it just feels like literally teleportation in a sense, without your physical body being there. Your mind goes there, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it's like we've disapparated from like Harry Potter.
Yeah.
And, you know, I guess my brain just can't handle it. It's so bizarre. Like I see people viewing it, I'm just like, man, how are you not vomiting in line?
Yeah.
It's bonkers.
Crazy.
But good on for people who can. Like,
there's some people that did it. Like there was a guy on YouTube who did an experiment where he spent like a week in VR or something. Like he did everything in VR, went to like meetings, like tried to do everything in VR. Everything. Like he would sleep everything. You know? He would sleep like in this tiny little bed, but like when he had his VR headset on, he was in this like palace basically. Like he's like looking around at like the different stuff, and then you see what he's seeing, and you also see like his reality, and you're like, this sucks.
How do you go to the bathroom? How do you walk to the bathroom?
On a gold throne with his headset on.
I guess
he just mapped out his apartment.
That's crazy. That's crazy,
Tim,
man.
One question I like to ask a lot of my guests is, if you could make a phone call to 15-year-old Tim, it's a different universe, so it doesn't affect your current reality, but give him a piece of advice based on what you know now from being where you're at, what would you say?
Now, okay, it's the same universe but different. Like, you know, it's like 15-year-old me.
Yeah, but like the only thing is like it doesn't affect your, like if you told him like start doing this thinking that it's going to affect your current, like some people are like, oh, invest in Bitcoin. You're like, all right, it's not going to change your situation. Like you might tell him to do that, but it feels like a waste.
He'll be great. He'll be great years down the line. It doesn't help me at all.
You just go Bitcoin and then just hang it up. You'll thank me later.
Yeah, that's it. It's it. And they're like, who's this? I'm like, don't worry about it. They're giving it away for free in 2000. Just take like 100.
Take it, as many as you can. Don't lose a password either.
Yeah, no. Honestly, okay, cool. That's a really good question. And I think what I would say is that you know, believe in your abilities more. That took me a while to get to, you know, in this timeline, in this universe. And I feel that there was opportunities that may have passed me by in the past because I didn't think I was ready, but looking back now, and like, you know, once you've spent some time doing it, and like, you know, like I know people in the industry and who've done really well for themselves, like, you know, worked in, you know, big Hollywood pictures, and, you know, I've hung with them. I've, you know, known them for years, and they're just like you and me. They're just average people. And in my mind growing up, they were like, you know, I was superhumans. It's like, well, how did they get to do that? You know, in my early, you know, days of becoming a filmmaker and trying out different things, thinking that, you know, they were still so far above me. When looking back now, it's like, oh man, you had it then. Like you could have said yes to certain things that have come your way, and you know, who knows what would happen. So that would be my advice to 15-year-old me is, you know, believe in your abilities more, because you're more than capable, you know, and I hope that you would listen.
Yeah. Who knows?
Yeah.
Some people, I love hearing people's answers on that, because some people are like, I wouldn't listen to me at 15. They're like, me at 15 would not listen to any piece of advice that I had to say. I'm like, true, but say it anyways, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, at least it can be said. Because there's some things that people had said to me that at the time I was like, yeah, whatever. And then later I think about it, I'm like, oh, yeah, they're right. I'm like, I should be more focused on that. Okay, sure.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like even the idea of like receiving feedback or advice from other people. It's like, you know, I agree we have to filter out a certain amount of it, but like there's nuggets in there. There's some gems that you need to kind of listen to.
Like do your taxes.
Yeah. Don't get sent to prison for something stupid.
Do that. You know? Don't listen to people who are like, tax is theft, like, or taxation is theft. You're like, yeah, obviously, pay it. Doesn't matter. You still gotta pay it. I don't care what your philosophies are. These are the rules.
Yeah, that doesn't change the
should be allowed to kill people I don't like. Sure, but don't do that. It's all nice.
No.
And it's illegal.
Yeah, yeah.
There's a
Crazy.
second part to this question that I always ask as well, because these YouTube videos, we hope at least, will be, you know, forever archived on the internet or YouTube's back channel. So if let's say 60-year-old Tim comes back to watch this episode, would you leave 60-year-old Tim a message? You think about that. You're 60 now, and you're watching this episode, and you click into this part to be like, what did I say to me at this age?
So I'm leaving myself a time capsule.
Yeah, time capsule message.
Oh my God. That's even harder.
Right? Yeah, it can go both ways.
Because like I think we'd be shifting in a different direction, you know, like in the past it'd be like, hey, you can do it. You know, if I encoded a secret message for 60-year-old me in there, it would be something more lines of like, you better not have effed this up. Like,
Yeah.
Like, so if he comes back, he can look and be like, oh, whew, I didn't, I'm good. You know, but he did, he would know at this point in time, I called him out on it.
Yeah, some people were like, congrats on achieving blank and blank by this time, or I hope you're still doing this, or, you know what I mean? It's so interesting to hear everybody's different responses.
Yeah, no, there's no congratulations here. So don't fuck this up, buddy.
You better not have fucked this up, and you know what this is.
Life.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
This is life.
Exactly.
I want to shout out for people who are watching this to go follow you on Instagram. It's Tim Moran 04. Is there anything else? I saw you have like a website as well.
I do, yeah. This sort of shows like my non-work with Paradigm Studios.
Okay.
We've got a really big fantasy. There's a little clip for there. Short films, 30 minutes, is just like this epic film that we just started putting into film festivals. Oh, wow. It stars Phoebe Galvin. She was in the Joss Whedon film Cabin in the Woods. It's got practical creatures designed by Matt Fichtner. He has a production company in Ottawa, and he did some work on like The Thing in 2011, Mr. Megorium's Wonder Emporium with Natalie Portman. He even did some work with Henson Company here and there. But it's man, this was like a passion of mine. I had a dream about it one night, and it just started writing, and we kind of snowballed into this crazy short film, which is like a snapshot for a feature film that we're hoping to sell. But yeah, follow Fantastic. That. You know, I'll be updating it with screenings as they roll out, and then eventually we'll be releasing it online probably sometime next year.
Nice. Well, as always, people, you know, I put all those links down in the description below, so go check that out. Tim, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate you taking the time.
Thanks for having me. I can't believe the hours gone by. This has been a blast.
Yeah, flew by.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to move to longer episodes.
That's it. We're gonna be doing like you'll have like Rogan 3-hour episodes coming up at some point.
All right, man. I hope you have a great rest of your night.
Thank you. You too. Take care.
Take care. Bye, everybody.
Yeah.
You've been listening to The Johnny Rogers Show. New episodes air every Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.